Disc. Props. We're live?
All right. Hey, welcome YouTubers and PN users. Here we are again for another live Q&A session with Perception Neuron. I'm Eddie, the fantabulous Garcia, and this is my colleague, Daniel the Man Quadra. And we're here with another live MOCAP session. Please stay tuned to the end of it where we're going to announce the winners of your Set Your World in Motion video contest that we just had. It was a tough call, and we're gonna announce those at the end of the video. All right.
All right.
So
just before we begin, we apologize for audio right now. There's only one channel right now. So go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. You make do, right, when you can. So what we talked about last time, we talked about the 3 keys to good MOCAP. We talked about the environment, about setting up your neurons correctly, placing them on the body correctly. So this is going to be somewhat of a continuation of that last video. And one analogy that I kind of like bringing to this is what's so relevant right now is the Olympics. Yeah. Right now the USA is killing it in the Olympics and they're doing great. But we're not doing as great as I would wish, but we're still doing really good as far as track and field goes, you know. Yeah. Justin Gatlin, you know, it's kind of like become like a sports announcer now. It's like Justin Gatlin over at the 100 meter. Right? But no, he was doing great. And but you know, Usain Bolt, you know, took that medal again, and he's going to do it again. But that kind of reminded me of you know, how we tend to be with the perception neuron and with, you know, getting ready to do our MOCAP session. You know, we're so like ready to get on there onto the field, and if you notice these guys, they're so focused and concentrated. Yeah. You know, they've warmed up, they've trained, and just imagine, as you will, if, for example, Usain Bolt gets to the starting line, he's ready to go, He's on the blocks, the gun goes off, he takes off, but he takes off in the wrong direction. You know? It's like, no, what happened? What happened there? So that's what kind of brings us to this live Q&A session right here, where we're going to talk about ready, set, go for your motion capture. So now that you've done everything in the last video that we went over for getting ready to do your MOCAP, now we're going to go and delve into the software a bit to kind of talk about the things that you need to adjust, some things that you might need to be aware of before you click that record button and export to your software to do the cleanup.
Right.
All right. So diving in here, the first thing we're going to talk about is the ready. Okay? Some of the things that you're going to have to be mindful of before you even start your MOCAP session. Okay, so if any of you could go into the settings here.
Okay, so let's go into camera. So let's go into settings here. Okay, can you guys see my screen? Okay, so here in settings, we have a general, output, format, shortcuts, advanced, broadcasting. So a couple of settings that we have here to show. Let's start with the general. Basically, general is just for your local IP address. This is my local IP address that's given to my computer. On the output formats, you have BVH data. This is mostly for streaming and also for exporting. Frequency reducing is basically how many frames do you want to export, either half, a quarter. This is kind of the settings that you have. You can also change the rotation and also the displacement. Now be mindful, some programs don't accept displacement, like for example 3ds Max. So you might want to just uncheck that for 3ds Max. It's kind of a couple of tips there on the BVH.
Definitely, and some other programs, or possibly even some of the rigs that you might be working with, they might have created those with a different rotation order. So also be mindful of how you're going to be setting up your motion capture, that you set it to the correct rotation order of your rig.
Yeah, so for default we have YXZ for default. You could change that, customize that based on whatever package you're streaming to or exporting to. So then let's go into shortcuts. Very self-explanatory. Customize your shortcuts. If we head down to advanced contact optimization level, this is just improving the algorithm on the axis neuron. By default, it's by 2. If you increase it up to 10, basically your contact points are going to be much more, a little bit too smooth sometimes. It might be not what you want. You might lose that detail in the animation. So we keep it at 2. You don't want to increase it too much.
Right.
Okay. So we go to broadcasting. We have different broadcasting settings: TCP, UDP. For example, our Unity uses TCP. We enable that BVH to stream that data stream to Unity. And for Unreal, our Unreal plugin, we use UDP, for example. Okay, so those are different broadcasting, settings you can pick. Okay. All right.
So that was the settings. The next thing that you're going to want to do is go into your calibrations, right? Similar to what we talked about in the last video. But before you get into your calibration poses, the thing that you're going to want to make sure to do is to choose the correct body size for your actor. So Danny over here is going to show you how to set this up.
So the body size manager here is, you can find it on the panel here at the bottom. We have a couple of presets. We have presets for different female heights. This is in centimeters. So for example, you have the female 160 centimeters height, and you also have male. You can see that I have a few customized, one for me, one for Eddie, one for one of our other coworkers here, it's Steven. So if you want to customize one, you could just press the plus sign here and name it, for example. And you can change the settings here based on centimeters. This is going to be included in the manual. Basically, what we want you guys to do is just measure the distance from joint to joint, end to end, at the rotation point, basically. Once you get that information, you just put it into the body size manager and then customize it that way.
Definitely, and notice that this is just if you really want to get as much detail as you want as far as the body size go. What this is going to do is going to help with hand to body contact. So things like putting your hands together, or like a hand on a lap or a hand on another actor. This is going to assist you with cleaning that up more. Now keep in mind, this is an IMU based system, so it's not going to be 100% perfect, for the type of system that this is. But doing these kind of body measurements is definitely going to help. And from what I find, even just using the defaults are also so helpful when you're going to be doing your motion capture recording. So for example, the one I love using from when I'm doing motion capture is the male 185, because I'm 6'2". So the defaults work just fine if you just kind of measure out the height of your actor. But if you want to get a little bit more detail, get just a bit more polish into your motion captures, then yes, please go into the body size manager and one by one just measure that out. And like Daniel mentioned, that's going to be coming out in the manual when we release that really soon.
Yeah, so you're just basically giving Axis Neuron an idea of what your dimensions are. That helps the accuracy much better. And it's very important to use the body size, your customized body size, before you do the posture calibration.
Indeed.
Because once you do the posture calibration and then you choose the body size, basically you've thrown that posture calibration out the door. So you want to just do the body size manager first, select your customized body size, and then do the posture calibration. So those are the steps that you have to do.
Indeed. So I think let's go ahead and connect here, and then we're gonna delve in to the next session.
And just a little tip, as you can see, we're both working on together, and he's basically working on the suit, and then he's basically just working on the suit right now on his own, and I'm helping him out with the system right now. So he's working on his own, I'm working on the computer, he's not touching the computer, he's keeping away from the computer. So.
Right. So that concludes the ready part.
Yeah.
What we're going to go into now is the set part. Okay?
Okay, so let's connect it to the data port, hip strap. Okay.
There you go. And we're going to go through our calibrations like normal. If you want a reference on how this is supposed to be done properly, please feel free to look at the last video that we did. And we go into there in more detail on how to do this.
And for this example, we're doing hardwire, USB. Okay, so let's hit. I basically opened the connect equipment list. This is the hub that I have connected right now. So I hit connect. You're gonna see that radar. When that radar comes out, you want to make sure you don't move. That's very important because it's kind of doing a reset steady pose. Under the hood. So we're connected now, and so what I'm gonna do is, remember what I told you guys, make sure you have that body size manager already set. Eddie has his profile already done, so I'm gonna select this profile here on the right hand side, and I'm gonna select Eddie. You're gonna get a warning. What I just told you, just make sure you don't do the calibration before this. You want to make sure you select this first, and then you do the calibration. So, ready?
1 second, let me adjust the shoulders here for a sec.
Okay, so I'll just wait. So yeah, you're gonna see here, I have actor's name, I have the Z pose, I could do the calibration, and then I have the full body. We're doing the full body mode. So I'm gonna select right now Eddie, and we're just gonna name him just for a reference point for this file. Okay, you tell me when you're ready.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so let's go into the posture calibration section here. So what you want to do is we have 4 options here. We have the steady pose, A pose, T pose, S pose. We're just gonna do the S pose, okay?
Steady pose.
Steady pose. Okay, so let's do the steady pose. He's gonna stay still. Okay, and Eddie just passed to the flying colors. Okay.
Notice that one neuron is out there.
Yeah, so we have one neuron that's bad.
Right.
So we can troubleshoot right now and see what's going on.
Let's see what's going on there.
Okay. So I'm just removing the neuron and just resetting the neuron. Make sure there's good contact in that area. Light is breathing right now, so that's good. So I'm gonna disconnect. Okay, and reconnect. Okay. So I can see everything is lighting up. That's good.
Good.
So since we just disconnected, okay, I'm gonna have to select again Eddie's body size. Select Eddie, press OK, and then we're gonna go ahead and do the posture calibration again. Just select the steady pose, hit next. Okay, now we have a good connection now, so that's good. So ready for the ATNS pose.
Ready.
All right, so we're gonna go back to the posture calibration. Right now, steady pose is deselected. ATNS pose is selected this time. So let's hit next. All right, excellent. How was that?
It was
It
good.
was good?
Yeah.
All right, good. So now, basically I'm just gonna look into the viewport and just kind of see everything's looking good. Everything's looking good. All right, green, everything's good. Eddie's showing pretty good right now.
All right. Seems to be okay. So what we're looking
Yeah.
for here in the ready, in this set section of the tutorial, so to speak, is just making sure that nothing looks like distorted, that nothing looks like it's bending too much. From what I see here, maybe the arm is kind of, this particular arm maybe is a bit bendy. Let's see, let me just move around a bit. Okay, not bad. One thing I like doing, is just to make sure that everything else is kind of moving okay. So I kind of move the top part of my torso for the trunk, switching sides, switching feet, Egyptian, head rotations,
Yeah,
shoulders,
it's looking
So,
good.
so this seems to be working pretty good.
Yeah, it's looking good.
All right.
All
So
right.
instead, now that we kind of see the suit working now, we're gonna go into the parameters section to talk more about things like alignment.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to full function layout here, back to our default, and let's go into parameters. Okay, so parameters is it's one of the most important things before you hit record. This is gives you setting customization so that when you're tracking your motion capture, you have the best result. So
And let's start with the model alignment.
model alignment
Instead,
first.
yeah.
Okay,
Model
so.
alignment.
So the model alignment is very simple. You can rotate the character left and right. Okay, we have the pitch and roll. Pitch is basically going to put the character back or front. Now this is helpful if, for example, if you're in a steep area and your foot contact is not registering very well, maybe your character's foot contact moving forward is not registering very well. So in that case, you might want to move the character forward so that the sensitivities are much more better. You could also do that moving it back. Okay, so maybe you're going downhill and then you might want to adjust this and just kind of lean them backwards. You can see this, he's leaning backward. Okay.
That makes it for like an easy, smooth criminal Michael Jackson.
Yeah. So, you know, same way if going forward. Okay. Okay. If, for example, if you're going upward, this would be helpful to have that foot contact a little more sensitive, walking forward. Looks pretty cool. Likewise, for example, we have the roll. You can move your character, lean it to the left, lean it to the right. If, for example, if you're walking and the left foot isn't registering very well as much as the right foot, maybe you want to lean the character to the left, for example, okay? Now these parameters, you could go very exaggerating or very minimal. For example, if the right foot isn't contacting very well, you can lean this a little more to the right. It's like almost like a ghost.
Maybe you want that. You know, who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of animation you guys are doing, but these are the options that are available.
Yeah. So this is kind of yeah, something that you could select. So now if we jump into parameters, we have several options here on the joint step. Joint stiffness. This is one of the biggest question here. What is joint stiffness? You're basically increasing the value on how binded the bones are. The more value you put on it, the more binded the bones are, the more accuracy you have on the capturing.
Right.
If you decrease this number, the bones are going to be they're not going to be as solid. Okay.
Right.
And
So
you
if
can
you
kind of
notice on the screen there, you're seeing it right now in action. You see how like the feet are just kind of disconnecting from the joints? That's because the joint stiffness is just very loose right now. And when he had it tightened, you know, it was much more binded to the rest of the rib.
Okay, so then now let's say if we increase it, it's going to improve a lot more of the how solid the tracking is. You can kind of see that in the viewport, okay, on the feet. Okay. Now step stiffness and step constraint are very similar. If you want to elaborate a little bit
Yeah,
more.
so step stiffness, basically they kind of work hand in hand, the step stiffness and step constraint. What the step stiffness is going to do is going to kind of improve the smoothness of your stepping when you're stepping on the ground. The step constraint works in hand with that, as similar to, I like to compare it to like a hitbox in a Street Fighter game, for example. So just imagine it, if you will, there's like an invisible box on the ground. So now if the number is high on this step constraint, that means that hitbox is very large. And as soon as my foot enters that hitbox, the software will consider that a step. And so the feet will snap to the ground. So, and if you have that lower, that means you have a smaller hitbox. That means my foot will have to be really close to the ground for it to consider it as a foot contact onto the floor. So very practical examples that you could use with this is, for example, let's say you're doing some very fast motion. So Danny, if you could just kind of increase the step stiffness or the step constraint also there.
Okay.
Right? You'll see that my feet, they just kind of really stick to the ground, like very, very fast. You know, there isn't really any leeway. So you'll have to adjust this and know ahead of time when you're doing your motion capture what kind of movements you're going to be doing. So if you are going to be doing some of these kind of fast motions, you're going to want that big hitbox to be able to make sure that you get those solid contacts when you hit the ground. On the inverse side of that, let's say you're moving a bit more slowly. You're maybe animating somebody that's kind of creeping around or something and being very, very sneaky.
A ninja.
Right. You don't want it to look very snappy as it is right now.
Yeah.
So what you would do is you would kind of decrease the step constraint, and then now you would have to get much closer to the ground for it to consider it as a contact.
Okay.
There you go.
It's
And
much
that is
more
step
smooth.
stiffness and step constraint.
Okay. All right. So then that was that part of the joint step. Now let's go into contact.
Zero me out.
Okay. So for example, right now let's 0. Okay. This option here in anti-mag. Anti-mag is we give you the option to disable the magnetometers if, for example, in the environment it's out of your control and there's a lot of steel, metal on the ground, and you just have no way of avoiding this, and you just have to do motion capture on the spot, nowhere else. Anti-mag will disable the magnetometers that cause that drifting over time. You'll see that drifting, rotational drift on the feet. We can customize that. We could just say anti-mag on the feet, and that will disable the magnetometers on the feet. Now, you must do this on the last resort basis. We don't recommend this. We don't want you guys to do this. Try to find a good environment. That's why we went over the previous video to the 3 key points of motion capture. To find a good environment, that's the most important. So, if in case you just can't find a way to get a good area, clean environment to capture, this is kind of your go-to to help you out on top of that. Okay, so you have the option of on feet or on entire body. Okay. So the next option here we have ground constraint. A lot of people ask us, what is ground constraint? What does it do? Right now, by automatic, we have it selected on the option. You're basically having an avatar locked to the floor. So pretty easy to understand. You can't do any stairs. So if we deselect this option, we enable stepping on the stair. You could go up and then you could come back down. That's basically that option.
So let's go through that. Let's go ahead and try to capture going up some stairs, and we'll show you the settings that you have to change in there to do that.
So let me
Bring that over here.
So we have a step here.
You can bring it up on top of there, it's fine. Okay. So we have these steps. So now the next things I would need to change
Okay.
on the software.
Okay, right now ground constraint is disabled.
Right.
Okay.
And we have the feet checked.
So we're gonna go, okay, anti-mag off, ground constraint deselected, feet is selected.
Okay, there you go.
Yep.
So here, there, and there. You see? So there you go. You'll have to adjust those settings if you want to be able to capture that motion of going up the stairs. Which this is definitely one of the pros of having an IMU-based system, because it is very difficult to get those optical tracking cameras in a stairwell. Here we go again. Okay.
Okay.
All right. The next thing we'll move on to is to be able to do the same principle, but for your hips. Now, a scenario that I was thinking of for this type of animation was possibly, let's say you have your character driving in a car, and it's a really bumpy car, and you want them kind of to bump around, but not to be, floating all over the place. Because if you see right now, if you don't have it set up correctly, as soon as my feet leave the ground, you'll see that I'll start to float down to nothingness. So Danny, if you could just go back to like the defaults.
Okay.
So you see there, I'm just kind of floating, and it isn't really quite tracking as well, right? But as soon as I have that ground constraint feature in Axis Neuron activated, then the hips will be constrained to that set point that you have it set to. So right now, the hip height is at, what is it, 120 centimeters. And you can adjust this. So if you want it higher, you could adjust it higher to be a higher hip height, or lower if you want it lower to the ground.
Yeah, you could customize that if you want to put it 150, for example.
Right.
Okay.
There you go. Okay. So now lastly, we have this COM ACC threshold.
Yeah.
I know some of you are probably saying like, oh, what does that even mean? It stands for Center of Mass Acceleration Threshold. So think of it as your gravity, basically. So gravity is set to 0.8 by default. But if you wanted to change that, adjust that for your particular environment or for the type of animation that you're trying to do, you could adjust that. So right now it's kind of set to default, just kind of hopping, jumping, you know. And if we go ahead and adjust that to higher, let's see what kind of results we get. All right.
Okay.
And is that like one? That's one. Let's try like a 0.02.
0.02.
Yeah. See how that goes.
Yeah, it's registering. It's waiting for a higher value of
Right.
jump. Yeah, you're basically like in the moon. You're telling it. You just. It's looking for a much faster value
Right.
of jump.
So it's kind of keeping me constrained to the ground there.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll put a default here, 0.8.
There you go.
Okay. Okay.
Very good. All right.
Okay.
So that covers, man, I'm getting a workout here. Just from a couple side straddle hops.
So, just a rule of thumb, as you start capturing, you start doing a lot of movement, you want to tell your actor just to get on the 0 point, and you do the zero, just a zero function here. So, Eddie, just get on the, here, on the middle, and we're going to do the 0. There's basically been a lot of movement, there's been a lot of shifting, so we want to just kind of zero out. So let's do that. Okay. All right. So that's basically the parameters, functions. These are most of the functions that were explained. A lot of the information is going to also be put on the manual for you guys, and with more explanation on what it is, how does it work. Okay.
You can disconnect me now if you
All
want.
right. So I'm going to disconnect Eddie.
Okay.
Disconnect.
So that covers the set portion of today's talk. So we went through ready, getting all the settings set up, going into settings, making sure rotation orders were correct. Now we just went through the set, adjusting our settings in Access Neuron for our particular environment or for the type of scenario that we plan on capturing, because every scene is going to be a little different. You might need a little adjusting for your particular scenario. So now finally, we're going to go through the go. So we're almost there. If we kind of go back to that track and field event that I mentioned before. So if you ever notice these guys, once they get that go to get off those blocks and they start running, you notice that they don't immediately pop up. It's kind of a gradual kind of pop up. And they kind of pop up, they finally get to their standing up straight position, and then you're just hauling it to the finish line. And then if you notice, right at the end of the finish line, it's so detailed, these races, that they kind of arch their heads a little forward just to get that little extra polish, that little edge that might give them that win. So working with that analogy, we're going to do that also with Access Neuron. So you've already recorded what you had to record. It looked really good. Now you're just kind of wanting to add that little extra to it. And this is the section where you're going to be able to do that. So we're going to move into the smooth factor and talk a little bit about this.
Okay. Now the smooth factor is it's your final polish to the animation. After you're done your capturing, this is your final little polish. So I'm gonna open an example file here, capture data.
Right. Go from
Slow down.
contact editing.
Yeah, so we'll go into the timeline first. So say this is a pre-recorded we had done. And let's just kind of loop through it and just kind of make sure everything's looking good. This is kind of like a small fight scene. And a lot of you know, we want to know what is gray, what is dark gray. So these are the differences in contact points. What is a contact point and what is not a contact point. The good thing about this is that you can customize this. Sometimes the capturing wasn't done great. It was kind of like, you know, there's some sliding, and you just want to tweak that foot and want to make sure it plants to the floor. So this is where you want to go ahead and do that. You're going to see here there's a left and right foot. And just to give you a little quick overview, let's say for example I just want to, you know, plant that right foot onto the ground. Okay, I could just right click and drag and hit contact. Okay, immediately you're going to see that change to a dark black color, and I've already set that to a contact point. And you're going to see here that there's a red ball that's telling you that there's a contact point. If I go ahead and select it again and I just say uncontact, it's going to go away because there's no contact point. So, but I want a contact point, so I'm just going to right click, drag, and hit contact, and automatically that forces it to be a contact point on the floor. In some cases, you might have to recalculate the frames so that the engine kind of goes through the frames and recalculates the post frames afterwards. So I just go recalculate off frames. Let's select that one again, contact. Frame 10, sorry. Yes, that's it. So reselect here, contact, and recalculate selected frames. Okay, there we go. Recalculate selected frames. So that already helps the engine understand what is a contact point, what is not. Okay, so that's basically, you know, just kind of scrubbing in through it. So once we finish that editing, we want to go and see to smooth factor.
Right. And the smooth factor is going to start adding even more polish to your animation. So if you look through here, we have two sections in this smooth factor settings area. We have the displacement and the rotation. So basically what you're going to want to do is to click on enable to enable this smoothing factor that we're going to be using. And then you're going to choose which area of your animation it is that you want to smooth out. Sometimes maybe the foot, the translation of the foot or the translation of the arms aren't quite going as you expected. So then you would just simply go to the displacement section, choose whether you want to adjust the hips, the feet, or the other body parts of the avatar, and just bump up the values in there to kind of smooth out the animation. Because you know, we kind of do vary with our users. You know, some are very beginners, some are very advanced. But just to kind of go over, basically when you're doing your animation, you have these animation curves that are being recorded into your files. And in real life, you know, those animation curves aren't completely smooth. They go, and then there's like a little bit of dirt or noise, so to speak, when you're recording this. So what this is going to do basically is just kind of get that curve and just kind of smooth out any of that noise, any of that dirt that you have on there in your animations. And now, do this sparingly is what I say. You know, it's really going to depend on the type of animation, your animation style, what you're trying to achieve with your animation. But me in particular, I like to kind of do this sparingly, as I still want that kind of crisp, you know, sharp movement at times in my animation. If you tend to overdo the settings in the smooth factor, you'll start to get like these very watery, kind of unrealistic type animations. So, you know, just be mindful of that when you're playing around with these settings, and just know that this is another option that's available to you.
Yeah. So one thing that always when you do the smooth factor, you can't do the editing on the contact point. It's basically locked. As soon as you do the smooth factor, you have to do the smooth factor after you've done your editing on the contact points. That's kind of like that's the final touch. And we have different settings here. Right now we have 3. And what the value of 3 is just telling the engine just to smooth out every 3 frames of the current frame. So it's going to be doing like a buffer. It's going to smooth out 3 frames at a time. Okay, and you just hit apply, and that's basically it. For this example, I'll just hit apply, and this is where you could go ahead and just do a visual, just check visually what's going on the animation. So I could hit BVH, I can select the feet. Say for example the right foot, and I'm just gonna go ahead and check that displacement. Hit play. Okay.
And there you go. And this is just a quick visual representation of what we just mentioned, of seeing those curves and how they're being smoothed out, where you could kind of pinpoint a bit more on where you're getting this kind of extra noise that you want to take out or leave in, depending.
Yeah, so that's a good example there. You can also select other joints as well if you want. But this is just kind of a very basic intro of what the data visualizer does.
Right.
Okay.
All right. So now that you've got that polished out, it's ready to go. You just need that last touch to get to the finish line for this motion capture session. So the last thing we're going to go into is on exporting the file.
Okay. So when you want to do export, you must have a raw file open. We already have some here. We have a couple of presets, the ones that are included with the software. For example, I'm going to open a dual test. We did this test with 2 characters. So this is a perfect example of what you might run into if you're exporting multiple characters, or even just one, for example. So I open a file, hit play, make sure everything's running. This is a raw file. Okay. And then I'm going to go to File, Export. And then here we can do a lot of, we can export it customized. We could select how many frames we want. For example, we have up to 2355. We could select the directory. We can also select which characters we want to export.
Right. So it's really dependent on how you want to do your motion capture session. I've been in sessions before where, the director just wants to record all the different types of animations they're going to use in the game or in the film, and they'll just kind of run through it in one recording. And this is what's going to allow you to kind of export those sections, or maybe even different takes. So like I just want these frames or that frame. Or, I was just bringing in that second character for reference, but this other character is the one that I actually want to export. So these settings are going to allow you to do that.
Right. So, we go here in file name. We could customize the name that you want based on your workflow. You can select a rotation based on what 3D package you use. This is very helpful for 3ds Max, for Maya, for other 3D packages as well. And again, as I brought up the other previously, displacement.
Right.
3ds Max doesn't take displacement, but we have also a file type version as well. So if you go to file type, you could customize which file type you want. We have BVH regular. We have a special BVH export for 3ds Max already for you. And we also have calculation and FBX for us.
Right. One question that we've received with FBX is, since there are multiple options there, is Eddie, which FBX file do I export to? And the answer is it's depending on how you're going to be cleaning up that mocap afterward in the next software package that you're using. So using Maya as an example, if you're going to be using Maya ASCII as your kind of a saving file type when you're working in Maya, then what you're going to want to do is export your file as an FBX ASCII. Or if you're using a Maya binary, you want to use an FBX binary.
Yeah, it all depends on your workflow.
Right.
That's it. And then I'll give you another tip for you guys now that we're here. If you go to process BVH, some of you guys might not know this. If you need that T-pose that for just for matching the rig to Motion Builder, you can add a T-pose at the head of the frame, basically at the beginning, at the tail frame, at the end of the frame, or you can add it before and after the animation. You're just adding a T-pose. That's very helpful for animation guys.
Right. Very, very helpful. All right, guys. So just that kind of covers the Ready, Set, Go portion of this Q&A, just to kind of recap of what we talked about. Like we mentioned, for getting everything started, look at the last video, for placement, for calibration and whatnot. But for the ready section, things you're going to want to make sure you check off before you even start to hit that record button is to go into your settings, checking the rotation order, displacement, the contact optimization, and whether you're going to broadcast or not, and also your body size. Once you get into the set section, you're going to want to make sure that you adjust the model alignment depending on the animation that you're trying to do, adjusting that joint step section for making sure that you get some nice crisp steps when you're animating, and also just adjusting the different types of contacts for either going upstairs or for being in a car, or just having that kind of hip locked into space. And then finally the go section, where you add that little extra polish, that little extra head jerk at the end of the finish line to finish off your MOCAP session, as well as exporting your file correctly, depending on which software you're going to use down the pipeline.
Yeah.
All right. So I think at this time we're going to go ahead and take some of the questions here that you guys have, and then try to address some of the things that might not be clear yet, or maybe we could explain it again, or if you just have something that may be a little bit off topic.
We have about 15 minutes, so we're open to any questions right now for you guys. Let's just see anything else. Let's see what we have here. You guys are asking about the frequency when you're recording. At the moment, that's not customizable. The frequency that I was showing you guys is basically the frequency that's being broadcast. Okay, so this is for broadcast export data. So you could export every single frame, half a frame, a quarter of a frame. So basically, that's just for streaming, broadcasting. Right now, there's no way of customizing that during the capturing for MOCAP.
Correct. It'll just set it automatically depending on how many neurons you have connected. So if you have 17 and below, it'll be recording at 120 frames per second. And if you have more than that, it'll be recording at 60 frames per second.
Right, that's 18 neurons and above. It's going to be recording at 60 frames per second. Any bug reports, you guys can send it to contact@neuronmocap.com. We have a team here. It's ready for your emails. Any questions, any concerns, you guys can email us. We pass them along to our team, software team, and we all take a look at that information. It's very helpful. Any feedback, it's welcomed. Okay, if you have a problem with your arm, for example, this is asked by Nicholas Pena. If you have a problem with your arm, you want to take the sensor out and do the neuron calibration. You can find a neuron calibration on Tools and Calibrate Sensor. You're going to need your prop tool cable and a neuron sensor. It's a very simple step-by-step. You'll be able to see your sensor in a 3D map. And just kind of rotate the sensor every 45 degrees and check for drifting. If the sensor has drifting, you want to go ahead and do the calibration as provided in the videos in that little step-by-step. That's basically how you go
Right.
about that information.
Yeah, it's basically how you go about doing it, and just being mindful of any drifting that you come across when you're doing that. If after doing those
Yeah.
steps you're still having trouble with it, please contact us at contact@neuronmocap.com, and we'll be glad to help you out.
Yeah. And then another thing too, for example, if you continue to have problems with drift issue, if you're checking your sensors and everything looks good on point, and after you do the calibration, everything is still drifting, one of the things you always want to keep in mind, go back to the 3 keys: environment, okay?
Right.
You want to make sure your environment's good to go, is clean, there's no interference. That's kind of the one thing you want to go for as well. Go ahead, for all those iClone users, just give you a brief idea how to set it up. You want to go to settings.
Oh, he's asking how to set it up in iClone?
iClone, right, exactly. So you go to broadcasting. Broadcasting for iClone is TCP. Enable BVH. That's 7001 port is by default. Leave it as binary, okay? And that's also the same workflow with Unity as well, okay? Right now, there's no zero function for VR software. A lot of game programmers have customized some really creative way of doing a zero pose inside of the program. As far as Access Neuron, it has a built-in zero function. Zero function is just there just to do like somewhat of a reset. You might have a lot of movements, and then there might have been a lot of data that's accumulated that's caused a bit drifting over time. So you want to hit that zero button
Right.
to kind of reset that.
And then that resetting, it doesn't come, standard with the plugin that we have currently. But for those of you that are very, tech savvy in developing these kind of integrations with these game engines, we still do offer the SDKs online that you could find on our downloads page, and you have at it. We have the API on there with more detailed instructions and descriptions on how the SDK works, and if after reading that you still have more specific questions, something that might not be clear, again, just contact us.
Okay, so someone is asking about the contact file, saving as a contact file. Now, Access Neuron does something pretty cool. Some of you guys may be familiar with this with raw files, with camera, with photos. You have Access Neuron basically has your .raw file. Once you start editing, doing contact points, it's going to save another file called .fcd. This might be too small, but it's going to be a .fcd. Now that .fcd file is basically your contact editing points file. So it doesn't override your .raw file. It just saves another file next to your raw file so that you have that separate. So for example, if me and Eddie are different places and he sends me over his raw file to edit. I do my editing just on my computer, and he asked me, hey, Daniel, can you send me the raw file again? So I want to make sure I send him the raw file and the .fcd file format. That's the file that's important so that you can import that contact editing inside of Access Neuron. Okay?
See what other questions we got here.
So yeah, we're just waiting a couple of more questions here. What does the allow state of fit option to something? Let's see here.
What was the question?
No, don't. Where do I register your kit? If you don't have Access Neuron software, The best thing to do is go to our website to register. It's neuronmocap.com/warranty registration. You just have to fill out the information there with your hub information. You'll get an email confirmation with the access to your software. Is it automatic? The contact file, you want to keep it in the same folder as your raw file. So as long as you haven't changed the name, it'll read the native file. So you want to make sure they're both in the same folder. Let's see, lost data file.
Other questions?
Oh, smooth factor. The lost data fit right now at the moment, they're still, it's going to be in the manual right now. It's not, we can't over elaborate right now on this information. We'll provide that information in the manual. We apologize for that.
Yep. And the manual is coming out soon, guys. I know we said that last time, but it has been fully translated. We're just getting the final approvals on the manual, and we should be getting that out to you guys very soon.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling here for you guys to have a bit of an overview of what's going on. So we'll have that ready for you guys very soon. End of this month.
Soon,
very soon. We will be releasing a new version of Access Neuron for you guys. So make sure you guys are registered on our website.
Right.
You guys will have to update your neurons in the hub for this update. There's also a prop tool function available now. So that's going to be available for you guys. That's already ready for you guys. Very simple, very easy. This is, for example, that's the prop setting. And you can basically, you can customize this based on, you can map the prop sensor onto either your hand, to your arm, however you want to customize that. We'll give you more information on that as well in the manual. The question is, are we going to enable a ghost function? No, that's actually, never heard that suggestion. Good idea. Right now at the moment, there's no development for that as a ghost function. That would be ideal for guys who only have one suit and want to record for two actors.
Possibly.
How to connect the prop tool. Basically, connecting a prop tool, you'll see a lot of unused sockets on your suit. For example, I'm gonna check here on Eddie's shoulder strap. There's a little dummy plug here, so you just remove that, and you're gonna see a socket right here on the shoulder. This is one example of a place you can connect the prop tool. Okay. You also have the option to connect the prop tool on the hip areas if you want. Give me 1 second. No, other side. Yeah. No. Give me 1 second. At the moment, it's going to be at the shoulder strap right now. My apologies. So that's one way to connect the prop tool. It's got to be connected to the suit first.
Right. All right. I think we'll go ahead and take maybe 2 more questions before we close it off for today.
And make sure you guys have checked out our SD card function. That's already enabled in the latest version that we have for our users. There's a video tutorial for you guys out there. We have a couple of more tutorials on the way. For example, how to set up for 2 characters. That'll be out there very soon. That'll help you guys record for multiple actors, and also take use of the new iClone plugin for 2 characters as well. Nicholas, for the prop, just rotation, correct? Yes, right now it just rotation at the moment. Is there a jitter removal filter? That's kind of like the same thing we went through with the smooth factor.
Right. It's basically that. You would go into the smooth factor and just help to remove that jitter or that noise, dirt.
Yeah, you remove that noise basically, and then customize either if you want to clean out the hip, the feet, or the other joints as well. Best way to store the suit. We want you guys to remove the neurons. If you're gonna go travel, remove the neurons from the suit and place them on your anti-mag case. Don't leave the neurons on your suit exposed.
You don't want to leave the neurons exposed. Like he said, it's going to be susceptible to any metals that might be in the area if the neurons aren't in their cases. So we suggest that you have to put these neurons away after your session. One thing that if you guys haven't been aware of, we are offering also a storage container on our website that'll kind of help give you that option of leaving the neurons on the suit and just kind of placing in this magnetic proof container. It goes for about I think $200 on the website, and and we have plenty in stock. So if you want, you can go ahead and order.
Yeah, those are for the road warriors.
Yeah, the road warriors. Like, I'm going across the country.
Question about the plugin for Maya and live action inside of Maya. Right now, the plugin for Maya is not ready yet. It's not being released anytime soon right now.
Right, with no specific dates on that yet. We have played around with the alpha of it, and it seems to be it's a little buggy here and there, but we're gonna get that out pretty soon. No exact dates yet, though, so sorry. Okay, guys, I think that'll cover it right there. We're gonna go ahead and announce these winners of the Set Your World in Motion contest that we had, and we just want to thank all you guys out there that had those submissions out there. It was not easy. There was just so many videos and like ideas that were being thrown out there that I was like, wow, and from all over the world. I'm talking about like Africa and like Mongolia and all this, like in the deserts, just like places that we didn't even think that our motion capture suits would be reaching to. We just want to say thank you so much for that. And also as far as the voting goes, we had to kind of adjust some things for the voting. So the highest votes winners, we sorry to say that we found that there was some kind of fraudulent voting going on. Some of these votes are kind of being faked. So unfortunately, like the high votes, we didn't factor that in. We wanted to be as fair as possible to all the participants into the contest, but we did add another category in there for the selection of the grand prize winners. So starting with the second prize that we have for the contest is Ed Coy for The Beginnings of Things. Then we have Paulo Scatena for Capturing the Poetry of Movement, and Danny Valimaki for Action Force 4 CG animated series. Those three entries right there will receive one Neuron kit from us. Next, if you want to read the judges' favorites.
Judges' favorites is Dan Brown, 21 points, short film. Bruno Martelli, Dazzle Ball. Jeff Sheets, NASA Seals.
There you go. And those winners, they will receive 2 perception neuron kits. And finally, for the grand prize winners, we have Onat Hekimoglu for Harold Halibut, a handmade adventure game. We have Simon Legrand for the MOCAP studio, and Andrew Huang for creating a digital underworld, a MOCAP Inferno.
Yeah.
Those 3 grand prize winners will win 2 perception neuron kits as well as $5,000.
Yeah.
So just we want to give a congratulations to you guys. Thank you, so much for those entries, and they were all awesome. It was not fun. Easy, but it was really great stuff that we have that you guys entered there. Yeah. And we just want to mention that for all the winners here, we will be contacting you soon as far for more details. And for those that didn't win these prizes, there were a couple entries in there that we thought showed a lot of promise, and there is a chance that we will reach out to you regardless, and just kind of talk to you a bit more about your project, about maybe different ways that you might be able to improve it, or just suggestions, just trying to get a feel for where you're headed with your project, and seeing if maybe there's a different way that we can assist you. So, we love you guys so much, and thank you for joining the contest.
And we want to apologize for the delay. A lot of you guys were eager to know. We had so many entries at the last day. We went through every single video, and we saw some really amazing things out there, and we're really happy with the results, and we're very excited about this one.
Indeed. All right. So
okay.
Again, I'm Eddie. This is Daniel.
Yeah. If anything was left out, contact at neuronmocap.com, and we'll get back to you with more information. So if we left anything out, let us know. Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, guys.